Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Very good morning and a warm welcome to Newsline, broadcasting live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And our guest this morning is the Minister of Local Government, Mr. Faisal Mustafa. Very good morning to you.
Good morning for us.
And thank you for being on our program.
It's always a pleasure.
Democracy is on hold. The franchise is at stake, and you, as Minister in charge, is being held responsible. How do you respond?
What do you mean for us that democracy is at stake?
The people can't. You're not having elections. Why aren't you having elections? What are you frightened of?
For us, I have continuously echoed these sentiments. Have you read the delimitation report in terms of Act number 22 of 2012? That is where the new electoral system came into being. And in terms of that report, there are a lot of flaws. Recently, some organization has issued a statement saying other than the Sri Lankan Freedom Party symbol, everything supportive of the Sri Lankan Freedom Party is in that report. Do you want me to have an election without considering the interests of all parties, all communities? Because if you look at that report for us, it has taken away minority representation in a big way. So supposing there are two villages where there is minority representation, they have been broken into two and combined with another electorate to provide them of representation. I'm very conscious of the fact. I don't want anybody to point a finger at me. I discussed this issue with the President and the Prime Minister. I had an all-party conference where all parties expressed their sentiments that this election should not be held in terms of this delimitation report. I appointed the appellate process representative of all parties in Parliament, and that appellate process is continuing, and until that is concluded, I'm unable to hold an election.
Now, am I right in thinking that you're a fully paid up member of the SLFP?
I am a fully paid up member of the SLFP, but
so
also
why are you acting in interests that are inimical
for us
to the SLFP?
The General Secretary of the SLFP and Dilan Perra has been very critical about me, saying that I'm not holding elections because the UPFA and the SLFP believes there is a very conducive environment to hold elections now for the SLFP. But I, for us, have a greater responsibility to the people. I've been elected as a Minister of Local Government and Provincial Council. So my function is to do justice to all parties and to all communities, and I can't look at this by looking at it in the point of a political party.
But by not having these elections and by dragging it along, you're not allowing the people's greater interest.
For us, I don't agree with your terminology, dragging it, not having it.
But that's what it is.
No, have you read the delimitation report?
The point is,
I'm
asking the question
before you ask me. No, I can answer.
That's the way this program
this
works.
program should work.
Yes.
When I ask you a question.
No. You can't be telling us what to do.
I'm not telling. I'm telling the masses.
The masses, the greatest right the masses have is their franchise. That is the only thing.
For us,
our Think Again campaign has highlighted this time and time again.
For us,
the people complain that politicians come in, they promise, and then after the vote, that's it. They've forgotten until the next time.
For us, franchise.
So nowadays, people have got their vote. That's the only thing they have, and you are holding it up.
May I be permitted to answer?
Yes, of course.
For us, franchise has to be exercised in terms of the law. There is a process which has been appointed in terms of the law, an appellate process, and that process is continuing in terms of the law. Therefore, election cannot be held at this point in terms of the law.
You can't postpone this indefinitely.
I am not postponing these elections indefinitely. I'll have it in due course after the delimitation process is concluded, and the appellate process is tabled to me, which there is consensus by all parties and all communities with regard to the report which would come about after the appellate process.
All right. So, seeing that you're in the driving seat and you're privy to all sorts of informations, when can we expect election?
Hopefully, the first quarter of next year.
Right. He's really stretching it a bit, isn't it?
No, I'm doing justice by the masses.
First quarter of next year.
That before the Sinhala New Year?
That would mean that President Sirisena has completed, nearly 3 years then?
Not 3 years. No.
2 years.
He was appointed the 8th of January.
2015. So 2016, we're 1.5 years now.
It'll be 2 years, yeah.
Yes, 2 years. Are you doing justice to him?
For us, I'm doing justice by the people. His Excellency the President has never interfered with how I conduct matters.
But that is how he is. He doesn't. He's not the type. He's not the bull in the china shop type.
I'm totally in agreement with you, and I am conducting myself to the best of my ability in terms of the law. So I believe that nobody should complain, because unfortunately, a lot of political parties have bashed me, saying that the election is getting postponed. While stating so, they have also expressed their sentiments that the election should not be held in terms of the present delimitation report that is flawed. And for us, there is consensus that the delimitation report is flawed. If it is flawed, it has to be corrected, and there is time and space needed for it to be corrected.
Mr. Mustafa, during this holy month of Ramadan, are you willing and able to put your hand on your heart and say, I am not willfully delaying these elections?
For us,
Camera,
for us,
please pan on the minister.
Religion is a very personal thing. In terms of my faith, I don't think I have to. You should believe me, and I don't think I have any reason to swear here, because I've always expressed whatever I stated, I have stated with sense of responsibility, and if I start swearing now, I'll have to continuously swear with every action I take. So I don't think it's proper as a minister to bring my first personal faith when I issue a public statement.
Look on the cameras and tell the people that you're not doing it willfully.
I am not doing it willfully. I'm doing it in terms of the law, and I have never done anything to defeat the franchise, because I believe that people should exercise their franchise free and fair. When I say free and fair, if I have an election now, it may be free but not fair, because the delimitation report has to be concluded. To use it, to delve into colloquialism, you've got away. For us, it's very unfair, because most of the journalists who question me have not read the delimitation report. And for us, with a sense of responsibility, I'll state, if you read the report, you would tell me, Pfizer, please postpone it as much as you can. This report is arbitrary, and if you conduct an election in terms of the report, you want to be doing just by the people.
Right. Let's leave it there, and for the moment, and we'll come back to it obviously sometime in the future. After all, we've got so many months, because you say next year.
There are 12 months in a year.
Exactly. So we'll live for another day. But can we talk about these, what the public perception is, and that is that there is complete slowdown in the promises made, that promises that helped elect you to where you are. And one of those principal things was accountability and responsibility.
That's right.
Lasantha Vikramatunga, 2009, he was illegally, unlawfully killed. What's happening?
For us, the legal process takes time, and I believe we have a moral and a legal obligation to bring to book those who are responsible for Lasantha's murder. It was done in broad daylight, and I believe that the investigation should be expedited and the culprits brought to book as soon as possible. I am fully with you, Faraz. This government has a moral and a legal obligation to bring to book not only Lasantha's, your TV station was attacked, and even the culprits were responsible. And I believe, I have continuously echoed the sentiment.
What's happening on that investigation?
I mean, the investigations have to be concluded, and I've echoed these sentiments time and again, that if we do not bring the culprits with regard to Eknaligodas, the attack on Sirasa, Lasantha's, I mean, people will lose confidence in our government.
The list is endless. Keith Noyer and so on.
I'm sure all of them. I believe that there's a greater responsibility, and we gave a promise that we'll book the ones responsible, and I hope that we would be able to do it soon. Otherwise, people will lose faith, and time is running out.
Claymore bombed, we were. Claymore bombed, not just a
and for
petrol
us,
bomb.
in broad daylight. And what I would state with responsibility that the government at that time, which I was a part of also, was responsible for not bringing those responsible to book, especially when an incident like that occurs, right? And the way the investigation was conducted, I would say that justice has not been done.
It certainly hasn't, and in terms of the Lasantha Wickramatunge case, it's just, there doesn't seem to be the same urgency as when you all were in, when this government, the UNP, I know you're not part of it, but when they were in opposition, there was hardly any, there doesn't seem to be an urgency.
I mean, people had great expectations. People wanted those responsible for Lasantha's murder to be brought to book as soon as possible. Time is running out. So as a government, we have to take immediate steps to do that. And I hope that it would be done. And I've continuously echoed that sentiment that it should be done for us.
Okay, we can accept that because this happened, this murder, this unlawful killing, the snuffing out of a fine life, happened in different circumstances and under a different ambience, where there was a genuine fear psychosis prevalent in the country. We can accept that for the delay slightly. But what about in this government? We have got a governor of the central bank who is under intense speculation and attack, saying that there was something amiss at the central bank. If you can't reveal what went on there, what chance have we got for anything else?
For us, President Maithripala continuously has echoed his sentiments with regard to the appointment. The Sri Lankan Freedom Party has continuously echoed its sentiment with regard to the appointment, and public's perception is against the appointment. And in this setting, the governor of the central bank has said he's not seeking a re-election of his term
until
that scenario, until the COPE inquiry is concluded.
Yes, but he then tells them, he tells his colleagues on the monetary board, and we've got somebody from there who actually told us this, that he expects COPE to clear him and he'll be back soon.
And that is, he could state anything, but COPE is a very independent body. Sunil Handulnetti is the chairman of COPE. He's acting with a great sense of responsibility, and I'm very, very confident that the justice would be done, because the Sri Lankan Freedom Party has continually echoed its sentiment against an appointment.
But I remain very suspicious. The Auditor General's report is being sent to COPE today, and COPE is summoned tomorrow. The members are summoned tomorrow at 2 o'clock to discuss it. Tomorrow happens to be the last day of Governor Mahendran's current contract.
I am very confident that COPE will do justice, and I'm very confident about the members of COPE, and I'm very confident that the government will do the right thing. And I am very confident that President Sirisena was continuously echoed that sentiment when that appointment was made, will do justice, while stating though that there is a presumption of innocence until one is proved guilty. On the other hand, public perception is very important.
Well, of course it's important, because it's public perception that has elected all of you all into power.
Civil society met His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister and echoed their sentiments as well. So, you've continuously echoed your views about the central bank governor,
and so we will continue
I'm
to do.
sure that the right decision would be made. And the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has vehemently objected about the appointment.
Mr. Mahendran has accepted that he takes responsibility for a wrongdoing. He did not tell the primary dealers that the requirement had moved 10 times from 1 billion with a B to 10 billion. Now, that's the crux of the problem.
for us, I'm not very conversant about the transaction, but Sri Lankan Freedom Party has echoed its sentiment against this appointment, and I'm sure that in terms of what the sentiments which we echoed, and also that Mahendran has stated that he's not seeking a re-election, that right appointment will be made.
And now you really believe that that is it?
And I believe that, I don't say that is it, but with regard to the appointment which everybody is looking at, I'm sure that we as a party has expressed our sentiments and will continue to agitate with regard to the views expressed by us.
Do you know, and just before we go into a break, because I'm being told that we need to, but just before we do that, 3 executives at HSBC have been removed without any apparent reasons. Do you know anything about that?
I'm not.
No. Is the governor connected, do you think?
I'm not aware of the transaction.
We will reveal the story in the fullness of time. But in the meantime, stay put there. We're going in for a short break. Don't go away. This is Newsline after all. Stay tuned.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back. This is Newsline, live from Dawson Street in Colombo, and our guest this morning is Mr. Faisal Mustafa, a minister who's braved the odds and come here on time. Now, Mr. Mustafa, tell me this. Are you the sort of leader of our community, the Muslim community, the political leader?
I don't claim leadership for us. I am a Sri Lankan. I'd like to consider myself a Sri Lankan more than belonging to any ethnicity. Because my politics has been very secular for us.
But, the nature of politics is such in this country that I'm sure that you keep getting people from the Muslim community coming to you with their particular problems.
Saraz, I've always gone against the tide. I stand up for what is right. Especially there have been issues in the past like the Alugdam incident, the Grand Pass Mosque incident, where I stood up and raised my concern. But similarly, if there is a similar situation with regard to a temple or a COVID, I'll echo the same sentiments. Because what is right, what is wrong is right. Unfortunately, people tend to look at their ethnicity when there is a problem and then echo their sentiments favorable to their ethnicity without echoing the sentiment what is right.
What was your role in the previous government?
I had many portfolios for us, but I've always taken up stands what I thought was right.
Have you heard of a place called Akrai Pattu?
I have, yeah.
There's a new development there that was entirely funded by the government of Saudi Arabia. It was a gift and the only condition they made was that it should be for the benefit of tsunami victims.
You're right, yeah.
500 houses, a school, a complete community is built by the government of Saudi. Now, our way of thanking that government is by letting the weeds grow, and there is not even a dog living there.
For us, unfortunately, there was a fundamental rights application with regard to the allocation of those houses, and that case is yet pending.
Why so long?
I don't know why. I mean, the case takes some time, but I believe that this government should engage all parties and try to resolve it, because those houses, like you said, they have been abandoned, and some of them are and it's being dilapidated. So I think there's a moral and obligation on this part to government to intervene and resolve the issue, especially the political leadership in that area. People like us find it difficult to resolve issues in the East, but the political leadership there, because politics there for us is very regionalized. So I think there's a moral and legal obligation for all politicians there, whatever ethnicity, to get together and resolve that issue.
It's a criminal, almost, waste of money.
I'm totally in agreement with you, but it is a matter which is in court. and I don't think as a lawyer and a President's Counsel I can comment on it with regard to what's right and wrong when a matter is pending.
So it's one of these 900,000 cases that are taken over to the carried forward to the next year.
That's a fundamental rights application which is directly filed in the Supreme Court.
Yes, so that's not usually, doesn't take that long.
For whatever reason, all parties should try to resolve it to the satisfaction of all communities.
That sounds lovely when you say it, but the point is, when you look at the photographs, regular photographs that are sent to us, it becomes even more apparent that the politicians are not really plugging the case.
I'm totally with you. I think the politicians in that area have to plug in the case.
Can't you talk to the Supreme Court and fix this thing? only to get the case heard early. I don't mean their decision.
I'm appalled that you even suggest
but that's how it works
because Supreme Court is.
But that's how it works. It depends on who you know.
It's not so. I mean, we have.
No, I'm talking about the diary. I'm asking you why can't they get an earlier date?
We have one of the best legal systems. Our judges are very independent, and I'm sure those who are appearing should expedite matters.
But will you at least agree that it's frustrating?
I think for us, I am not appearing in that case. I'm sure there are very eminent counsel who are appearing in that case. It's up to them to expedite matters. And since you raised this concern, I'll see who is appearing and also ask them to see how they can expedite a settlement in that case.
Yes, there can be only one settlement, and those houses need to be allocated to the people of that area.
You're perfectly right for us.
That's all there is.
So I'm sure it should be done. I'm in total agreement.
Will you talk to, is it not Mr. Hakim's party that is predominant over there?
I don't think Hakim's party is
He's a lawyer too.
Any more predominant in the East. There are several parties. I think Rishad Badruddin has a party. Yeah. There are more chiefs than Red Indians in the East.
We'll wait for the reports to come from our Think Again campaign when they've gone there. As a politician, I don't think you want to be hearing that, though you should.
No,
every single person that we've met, there's not one who said, "Oh yes, we're very happy. We gave the vote, and the politicians are delivering."
I think for us, unfortunately, we are in about a year and a half in government.
Yeah.
People's expectations are high. So even for the general public to come to conclusions with regard to the conduct of politicians, I think it's very premature for us.
Do you think that with all these sort of consternations and palpitations that this government will last?
I mean, we will last. We are very strong. We are a national government. It's a marriage.
But that's part of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, someone would say I don't think it's a love marriage by any means. It could be considered a forced marriage because no party had a majority.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, President Maithripala, I'm sure, will steer the tide.
Don't you think that errant politicians should be exposed?
I'm 100% with you, Faraz.
And you'll back that, won't you?
I've always backed what's just and right.
Right. What would you say is the major, let's say 5 things. Can you say 5 major achievements of this national government?
The 19th Amendment.
Yes, one.
The 19th Amendment says it all.
Yeah. Which one?
Freedom of expression, freedom of speech, religious harmony.
Religious harmony, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then economic independence in the form that it is not tied to a handful. There is equal opportunity for everyone to engage in business. As you know, during the earlier regime, it was only a handful that got empowered. And overall, I mean, we're trying to do a lot at grassroots level. There are global issues which has occurred, but I'm sure our initiatives to empower the common man would bear fruits with time.
The people who are involved in paddy cultivation are simply not going to think about the global anything.
I know
they want to know why they can't sell their paddy.
I mean, obviously, you have to look at global issues as well. Prices, demand and supply. And with regard to the fertilizer subsidy, we put it right. Unfortunately, Sri Lankans are very dependent on subsidies, and they have got used to it. I believe a government can't sustain itself by continuously giving subsidies, and at one point we'll have to move away from it. Sometimes you have to tighten your belts for greater prosperity, and I think we should educate our masses with regard to that as well, because our masses want everything, right, through subsidies, which is very unfortunate. And they'll use some of them. I mean, you give handouts only for a period of time, but certain handouts have to be done continuously. So this creates greater problem, because social welfare of the government is a great burden to any economy and to the budget.
I know there is this collective responsibility in all that business, but can you tell me why it was deemed fit to split the finance ministry into so many different parts?
It's a decision which would be put to cabinet, and the cabinet would vote on it. It is not my.
That's almost the same explanation that the previous government said when Gotabaya was asked about the army account. He said it was a cabinet decision.
For us,
everything's a cabinet decision.
Supposing institutions are split, it has been done in the past, but if it is done for greater accountability, for greater efficiency, we'll wait and see. I mean, if institutions are split, if it serves a purpose, I would support it.
We can't wait forever, Faisal.
For us, institutions moving from one person to another or from one ministry to another has continuously occurred. But that alone cannot be criticized. But the moving of those institutions have resulted in, what shall I say, less efficiency, right? Then there would be an issue.
But you know, earlier you said that the expectations are high.
Yeah,
but don't you think that that's the fault of the politicians, because they promise all sorts of things.
For us,
in the past, they promised to bring rice from the sky.
I know politicians have continuously promised. People had
and continuously not delivered.
No, sometimes it takes a little time to deliver. Some promises are not met. A majority are met. That's what occurs. I mean,
Mrs. Kumaratunga came in on this huge bandwagon of corruption at that time. The UNP, she said, was up to absolutely no good. She promised to get rid of the executive presidency. One of the things that she came in shouting and screaming about was the saga of the Hilton Hotel in Colombo. Several years later, 25 years plus later, we've still got the same problem. The Hilton, the man who set it up says that he hasn't been paid. The presidency is still very much in place. Where's the delivery?
I mean, with regard to the Hilton issue, has been a continuous burning issue, and continuous governments have exposed their sentiments at numerous points. So if Mrs. Kumaratunga had promised and she has not delivered, then obviously she's at fault for doing so.
Last and final question, just as we say bye and thank you. When will we have the election? Just say it again.
As soon as possible. I hope
to have
what
a time.
Before the Sinhala New Year. That's
in 2017.
That's right.
There you go, folks. You heard it straight from Mr. Faisal Mustafa. Mr. Faisal Mustafa, thank you very much for taking the time to come on Newsline. We look forward to welcoming you on our network yet again, whenever you like.
It's always a pleasure for us.
Whenever you like. Thank you for watching Newsline. It's been a delight having you watch us, and we hope to see you same time, same place tomorrow morning. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.